This week we're going to Alaska. Just the word Alaska gives me goosebumps. It has to be on your bucket list if you haven't been there.
Bass Pro Shops and Alamocitos Ranch present Bob Volkrod's Hunting Adventures. Seven continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making. High adventure, dangerous game, real-world training tips. This is Bob Volkrod's Hunting Adventures.
This is the world wild and untamed, where the slightest mistake can turn predator into prey. That's why, for the true sportsman, there is no destination as uncompromising as Alaska. And a do-it-yourself hunt is the most uncompromising way to achieve an Alaskan-sized trophy. There's no room for error here. And if you're going to fly with 40-mile Ayers Leif Wilson, that includes your packing list.
When we take out hunters, we're operating with our transporter license. And we're not guides. We don't guide people. We take people to areas that we believe support the type of game that they're looking for and drop them off and let them hunt. And the people need to be prepared, both mentally and physically, to be able to be out there on their own and take care of themselves and have the appropriate gear to keep themselves out of trouble. And operating small airplanes like Super Cubs, with each person we can take a maximum of 50 pounds behind the seat. And that allows us to get in and out of remote airstrips where there's not very suitable landing spots, short, rough, and so on. And that is what lets us get into areas where you don't have competition with other hunters. With the gear that is available these days, people get the right gear, they don't have any problem with it. We take sheep hunters, caribou hunters all the time, that some of them will have a pack with everything they need, 10 days worth of food, a good tent, a good sleeping bag, the gear that they need, clothing that they need, and they'll be 42 to 48 pounds. It's not too big of an issue if they have the appropriate type of gear.
I can remember my first trip when I watched that airplane fly off on a trip like this, and I just sat down and watched him fly off until I couldn't see him anymore. And I sat there and I go, you know, I'm out here by myself. You better be able to take care of yourself. Choose your gear wisely. Don't make any stupid mistakes like jumping off of rocks and jumping over rocks. And I mean, you're out here by yourself, so you take a little extra precaution. You watch what you step on, and the last thing you want to do is break a leg. You watch when you're skinning the caribou, you don't want to cut yourself. You make a mistake like that, it could be your last one.
For help with all of your hunt booking needs, contact J&M Safaris at jnmsafaris.com.
Wherever you are, the first morning of a hunt always has a special feel, particularly when it's just you and Mother Nature. As Bob heads out to see what his slice of the Alaskan wilderness holds, he has only himself to rely on.
Caribou is something that is next to my heart. It's kind of what got me a jump start in the industry, I guess. And I know everybody's seen, you know, these pictures of migrations going through, and they look pretty easy, but when you get them in singles and small groups like that, you know, they're pretty leery. They can smell real good. Sometimes they're curious and sometimes they're not. It all depends on, you know, what's been hunting them in the last few days. But caribou hunting is something that's dear to my heart. What I try not to do is to get too impatient, especially when I haven't seen any caribou since last year, and they all look big when you first get started, but you need to see a few of them just to get acclimated to, you know, horn size and whatever. And of course you always get that predator instinct into you, so I'm trying to back that predator instinct off of me. But this caribou looked pretty nice. That back one is nice, but the one up front is good too. Well, we got pinned down a little bit. That's okay. We could have probably took one. I like to have it in my head that I could have taken him with a bow. So with all these little curves and stuff like where I'm sitting right now, they could have fed right down in front of you, and a lot of times they would have fed down on the other side, and they get you pinned down. You got to let them walk by. But that's caribou hunting. It's been a great morning.
Although Bob completed his obsession quest taking over 80 animals with a rifle, his first love has always been bow hunting. He's teamed up with longtime friend and archery coach Mike Price to help make you a better bow shot. This week's archery lesson is brought to you by Heritage Archery Academy and these great archery sponsors: Hoyt, True Ball, Easton, Limb Saver, Gateway Feathers, and Dirt Nap.
Today we're going to talk about draw length. This is one of the most controversial issues in the archery industry. We have different ways to get it, but the proper way to get it is in the last 5 weeks, we've set up your foundation. So if you take every single step we've filmed in the last 5 weeks, from your stance to your bow arm to your release arm to how you anchor, that's going to dictate your draw length. It's as simple as this. If I set my stance, I set my bow hand, this is my simulator, my release is in my hand, it's flat, it's not cocked like this. So my fingers are just touching in front of the bow, and I pre-aim at the target. My shoulders are low, and I come to full draw and anchor. That's my draw length. You don't see my shoulder up here, my arm bent if I'm too short because I'm gonna shake. I just set my arm in front of me, natural bend in my arm. I draw, anchor into my jaw, and execute. That's your natural draw length. Let your body dictate it. It's so important out of a tree stand. If you guys are constantly shooting high out of a tree stand, low, if you're constantly inconsistent out of a tree stand, flat-footed on concrete is one thing. But most of us in the Northeast up here, we hunt out of a tree stand, so it's important. You want your sight alignment and your arrow path to stay relative. So if this hand moves, this elbow moves, and I do it with my waist or at my hips and my knees. I bend down, I can shoot like this, and I can shoot like this. The proper draw length is gonna allow you to make shots that you wouldn't normally be able to if your draw length was too long or too short. You're using your frame, you're using the amount of muscle that you need to use to make the shot happen, but no more. This should help you. Proper draw length is one of the most important things you can have in your archery system.